Hi, my name is Neel Nabar. I'm an MD PhD candidate, a neuroscientist, and an immunologist. And I'm here with Dr. Greg Smith. How are you, Greg?
Hey, I'm good, thank you.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Yeah, good to
Glad
meet you.
to be here.
Yeah, Dr. Greg Smith. I've been in practice for 30 years. Most of my practice was emergency, urgent care, primary care. And I was fortunate enough to be in California in the late 90s when the medical marijuana passed. And so I had lots of experience that many doctors in this country haven't been able to get with dealing with patients that were coming to us wanting to use medical marijuana for a variety of conditions that we had very little experience and research about.
So Greg is an expert in medical marijuana, and let me tell you a bit about myself. Before, a few years ago, I spent a lot of time working on developing disease-modifying therapies for Alzheimer's disease. I was one of the primary player in developing a candidate vaccine for Alzheimer's disease, and one of the first groups to show that THC in nanomolar quantities can actually reverse the pathology of Alzheimer's disease. And now I work with Greg, and we work as part of Cognition Life Sciences. So Greg, tell me a little bit more about your experience in working with medical marijuana, and what are you doing now?
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. So what I've done is brought the level of research out to the general physician and clinician population with the first ever medical textbook that teaches them how to apply medical cannabis and the various components, THC, CBD, for a variety of conditions. And this was not out there. Believe it or not, there was nothing to train doctors. So how are we going to use the research we had without training the people in the front line that have to actually prescribe it?
So I heard through the grapevine that you're writing a book. Am I right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So it's called Medical Cannabis, and it's basic science and clinical application, and it's coming out next month.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it.
I need to sign copy. I need to sign copy.
I'll be happy to get that for you.
And so, I mean, one of the reasons I'm really interested in medical marijuana is because it's linked with Alzheimer's disease and its potential to actually treat it. So, Alzheimer's disease has actually been around. We learned about it over 100 years ago, and we don't yet have a treatment. I mean,
that's
why
true.
Do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
There's two major reasons we don't have a treatment. The first is it took current technology that we have to discover the beta amyloid protein and to see how it was working in the brain. So these are very highly technical niche areas of science that are relatively modern. Then you add the complexity of getting pharmaceuticals past the blood-brain barrier. And this over and over again, whenever you deal with neurodegenerative diseases, we're going to talk about the blood-brain barrier. And it's just very hard to get, no matter what medicine we come up with, get it past that barrier so we can do something in the brain.
All right, so let me tell you a little bit about some of the stuff we do at Cognition. With Cognition Life Sciences is we've actually developed a multi-component drug formulation. It contains multiple active compounds that have been formulated into nanoparticles. That all of these compounds, all these active compounds, have activity against Alzheimer's disease and have been shown in literature to be able to reverse or halt Alzheimer's pathology. Now, what we've done at Cognition is we've been able to take these and put them into nano droplets to help them cross the blood-brain barrier and really get across one of the biggest barriers to treating Alzheimer's disease. And I think what we think here at Cognition Life Sciences, and what I, Neel Nabar, think, is that this drug formulation has the potential to really change the way we treat Alzheimer's disease, not just here in the United States, but around the world. What do you think about that, Greg?
Well, I want to add to that, and at the practical level, everything we've done in the past, for the last 20 years of pharmaceuticals for Alzheimer's, it's been a single molecule that we've given and hoped it had an effect. And what you've done is change the whole model and the whole paradigm of how we're going to treat these by combining a bunch of different molecules that are going to interact in different parts of the process to stop progression, which you guys have been showing, which is phenomenal. We don't have anything that stops progression. All we have is some symptom control with some of the pharmaceuticals we have available today. You're stopping progression, and that's huge.
And I think that we're all here very excited to be able to bring this to people, that really, really need it the most.
Well, I'm glad to be a part of this. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Craig. So as we're talking about delivering therapies to cross the blood-brain barrier, Cognition Life Sciences has entered into a collaborative agreement with another group that has technology to formulate nanoparticles that can be delivered by intranasal therapy. What's your experience with this, and what do you think about this idea?
Neil, very good question. There's very little out there about the delivery of nasal delivery of nanoparticles. It makes a lot of sense at the clinical level, and I think it's going to be a game changer because we've done nothing like this, and we're getting all of these molecules past that barrier where they can act directly at the cell level, and it's big.
Well, I'm glad you agree, because that's what we at Cognition Life Sciences really believe. So we here at Cognition Life Sciences have developed a multifactorial drug cocktail with multiple active ingredients that targets Alzheimer's disease directly at the cause. We were able to formulate this into nanoparticles for efficient delivery across the blood-brain barrier so it can directly affect damaged neurons. Our cocktail also has immune modulatory properties, and we're not just trying to treat Alzheimer's disease from the neurological side, but also by using the immune system to help clear some of these things. Now, we here at Cognition Life Sciences believe this is a game-changing compound and formulation in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. What do you think, Greg?
I agree entirely, and for many other reasons that you didn't bring up at the practical clinical level. The medicines that are on the market today, only about 1% of the medicine gets into the brain. So you have to use very large doses that are sometimes toxic, certainly very expensive, to just get a minimal impact. By getting it directly into the brain, we're going to have an impact and stop progression at the cellular level right there in the brain using multifactorial approach, which has not been done before. So I see this as the next change in how we're going to be practicing the treatment of progression of Alzheimer's disease.
I think we can both agree that this is the next big thing.
Yep, I'm with you.